All right, so here it is. I know that a lot of you guys want me to weigh in on BOGOs. And for those of you that are in the Emerge Rockstars graduate group, I just want to say kudos to all of you for your amazing ideas and what you're implementing. It's just super awesome to see you looking to serve customers. For those of you that are still in our group training programs, no worries. I'm going to go over some things to think about as you plan and prepare for BOGO. So I have my notes here. So I'm going to look through. You'll want to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Some of these will apply to you. Some of them may not, depending on the size of your team. But I'll go ahead and go through. So there are basically three separate audiences when you're thinking about BOGOs. The first is your team. The second is your current customers, and the third are new and potential customers. So I'm going to go through a few tips on each of those that will probably help to execute and have a huge sales. One point that I want to make about like push periods is that push periods serve your customer. Sometimes we think of them as serving us. And I'll just tell you a real quick story from when I was selling Cutco that has been helpful for a few of my clients this week and rethinking the way when we push for things. And so I was during a contest period, and I was supposed to fly to the conference in Vegas, and I went to my mom's house. It was like Friday night, 6 o'clock, or Saturday night, 6 o'clock, or whatever. Or maybe it was a Thursday, I don't know, doesn't matter. And I normally would have just like eaten samosas and hung out. And instead, because it was a push period, I was like, well, I'm supposed to be doing as many appointments as I can, contest period. So I said, okay, Mom, which of your neighbors can I go see? So I went over to her next door neighbor who I'd never met before, did the appointment setting thing, and kind of told her what was going on. She's like, yeah, sure, come on in. And guys, they bought a $1,600 set of knives. My commission was 50%, which means I made $800, which was awesome. And it totally helped my team in the push period. But that's not the point, because this was 16 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And so my $800 is, well, it's totally gone, right? But guess what they still have to this day? They still have that same set of knives with their name on it. And at the end of that appointment, guess who was the most grateful, right? I mean, obviously I was grateful they let me leave with them, but they were more grateful because they had this thing that really, they were actually in the market for knives already. So it was perfect timing, and they were super happy to be able to support their friend's daughter and to be able to get exactly what they wanted and to get a superior product than what they were looking at, and the block had their name on it. And the reason that push periods are great, it's because this is when we show up for customers. We show up in a way that we probably should show up every single day of the year, but during these periods where we're ultra focused, it's where we provide the best service. So just remember that. It's not about throwing out a crazy promo or about being frantic, but it's about showing up powerfully. And so as I go through these tips, really a lot of them are just tightening the bolts and showing up a little bit more prepared with a little bit more intent. So here we go. Team preparation. I think it's always important that you know everyone you're coaching their profit goal. I won't rage on this. I might rage on it a little bit more in the Tasha Unplugged on Monday. But it's really important to know their profit goal. And so that way you can share with your team, hey, we know BOGO week is coming up, so this is the time to capitalize and to earn more money and to reach your income goals. So then BOGO week becomes about them and their goals. The second thing you'll want to prepare your team on is to right now block off 1 to 2 hours per day extra on top of what they're already working. Now, for some people, that might be 1 to 2 hours to allow for to maximize these promotions. That way, if they do it now, then they won't be a crazy person. So have them, because you have a week to prepare. You can get a babysitter, right? You can work out some contingency plans to allow you to focus on your business a little bit better. I think your team needs to decide whether they want to do local delivery or encourage people to order on their own, or both. I think next week would be a great time to have a team meeting to talk through all the things that I'm going to share with you here. As far as team preparation, if you're a leader on the call, we want to make sure that you are preparing good copy And what I mean by that is when Doterra is going to send it out, they're going to be communicating to builders usually. And so you don't always want to share that with the general audience because it's not written for them. So if you have an oil, both oils actually, make sure that you give two common everyday scenarios, very similar to what we teach you to do with the top 10. And then one, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it scenario. So if if it comes out at midnight Mountain, so either stay up late or plan to get up early, write that copy, give it to your team so they have more effective verbiage to use with their customers. And then the last thing from a team preparation is our team will often get into analysis paralysis. And so one thing you can do as a leader for the people that you're coaching, which most people are coaching, anywhere from three to seven people, is to prepare their call list ahead of time. Most people are not going to have more than 20 people that they need to be connecting with. And so, prepare that list of their enrollments for them so that, when the BOGO hits, there's not a lag and, oh my God, analysis paralysis. It's already taken care of. And then prepare your list as well. Now, as a leader, you might have a lot more orphans that you need to work on. So this will give you the opportunity to prepare and chop it up or whatnot. So that's from a team preparation perspective. Communication with current customers. I think that no one's allowed to tell current customers about it. But you can, make some time the Saturday before to let your current customers know to look for a call or text from me around whatever time each day, the time that's blocked out. I don't want to assume, so I'll let you know about each. And if I don't hear, and if you don't want to hear about them, just say something like, no thanks, I'm full, which is just a silly thing that I say at the end that would just make them laugh because it doesn't really make sense. But give them an opportunity to bow out gracefully, but most people won't if you're endearing in that message. Now, as I mentioned earlier, right, communication with current customers, give two common scenarios. Most of your communication, if you're leaving it on a message, or if you're even if you're leaving a message, you're going to follow up with a text, or even if it's a Facebook post or a Facebook message, I'm on my phone. So last BOGO time, I had to order one of the BOGOs on my phone, and it was the worst experience, really. It was a horrible buying experience. So what I think will help is if you, say, hey, today's BOGO is this, you're going to use this for this, right? Do that, all that. And then give them order on mydoterra.com, click here, and then here is your customer number. It will take an extra 30 seconds per message that you send, but it will make it easy for your customer to buy. The other thing you'll want to do is make sure you let them know the prices. A lot of people put the savings, but not the price of the initial thing. And so because customers are lazy, they're not going to go into back office and check to see how much it is. So yeah, make sure that you tell them how much it is and just eliminate the shipping objection by saying, use the $3.99 shipping. Don't worry, you'll get it back in free product next month after the 15th and it'll be a wash. So, and you can also suggest things like you may want to double up because this would be great gifts for people. Communication with new and potential customers, you may want to tweak your copy a little bit. And here is what I would say. This is a great week to get the most value for your dollar. We don't want to say save money or it's cheap or whatever, right? So this is a great money to get a great value for, and everybody wants a great value for their dollar. I really want you to think about new customers and how they don't even know there's a solution for their problem. So don't make any assumptions here. And so you may want to adjust your message a little bit differently. And another thing I think that's super helpful is use this as people that are interested that maybe haven't been before. They're raising their hand. Definitely use the usually approach. Usually what I do for people who have not bought before is set up a real quick appointment to, obviously take your order, but also to just let you know about some of the starter kits because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do that. It might take 50 minutes. And you can jam because they're already in the buying mood. They're already planning on spending money. And then you can encourage them to either get a family essentials with it on top, the home essentials with it on top, or they can do the membership, or they could potentially buy retail depending on how that works. So I think that, using the appointment setting approach with anyone, like if you start to look at people that are interested in BOGOs just as normal leads, no different than someone who says, oh, I have a cough, usually what I do, right? So, making sure, and that's why it's so important earlier that you and your team has an extra hour or two a day in order to take advantage of being able to schedule those extra 1 or 2 appointments a day. I mean, because you can have 5 to 8 appointments in a week and enroll 5 or 6 people that week, which is awesome, right? The last tip that I'll say, and this actually applies to current customers, which is just something brilliant that my enroller did. So, or I guess my sponsor, I don't know. So shout out to Kim Aguirre on this one. Is there was a BOGO that I was like, sounds like pretty good BOGO, but I was being lazy, right? It wasn't worth the time to go. We're so bad customers. Actually go into my office, like log in and do all that. And so I just got a text the afternoon, said, here's the BOGO. And of course she knows that if she doesn't give me scenarios, I'll light her up. And I try being the neighbor of Mead Coach, right? So she said, here's what it's for. And it was like On Guard Lavender. Like it was very obvious, but she covered all her bases. And then she just said, if you want me to add this, because our kids walk to school together, if you want me to add this, just respond with a yes. And the order that I wasn't going to do, because I was like, well, I kind of have it already. I have those. I'm not really running low. But just because she made it so easy to buy, I just was like, yes. And then I bought it. So if you're in a position to, for your local people, I don't necessarily recommend to do the whole shipping thing. I think that's a lot of work, a lot of stress. But if that's been successful for you, then do that. And so if you are gonna order for people and have them pay you, just make sure that when you ask them, that you just say, all you need to do is respond yes, and I'll take care of that for you. So hopefully those are some helpful additional tips on the BOGO thing. I'm super pumped that you have extra time to prepare for it. I hope that with our Emerge community that we have, I hope that you do such an amazing job that they always tell you a week and a half in advance. So if you have any other questions, you can go to post them, and I'm sure the rock stars will be able to help navigate all that stuff. And thank you again for all of you that did contribute and post such amazing ideas. You guys rock.